Welcome back. At the end of the previous part, we had to show evidence that proved that Chief Gant was tied to the murder of Detective Goodman. We tried using the jar that we've used several times now, because that jar was at one of the crime scenes. It was broken, a piece was missing that we found in his office. It made sense for me to present that, but apparently not. It's probably one of those cases where it's like, no, that's not the item we want for this specific thing, even though it does make complete sense to choose it, like previous. So the only other thing I can think of is the ID card record, because on there we have all the 7s, which we know was the number for his safe. So, there we go. This is the ID card list. Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 7777777. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number. It's your number. What? How do you know that? The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code. 7 digits? You don't mean? I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7777777. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. Oh, those were 7s, yeah. Order me a large fries, a Big Mac, and a milkshake. Strawberry milkshake. Chief Gant, what do you have to say? I would like a, just Coke, please. Oh, nothing. The defense's search of my office was in violation of regulations. And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card. Chief Gant, so you admit it. You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. What about it? I'm chief of police, whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom. What's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Ah, we got you. Ooh, your eye is twitching now. Yeah. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him in days. Chief Gant, I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman. What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt. No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting? In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us proof that the victim went to meet Chief Gant on the day of the crime. Okay, so we need proof of where Goodman was or the chief was, and I don't think we got any evidence as to where the chief was, because we didn't need it. So where was Goodman before he was murdered? Like, he lost his card. So we know where he was at 1712, but it would have been earlier than that. Autopsy report. Goodman's note. Just anything that points to where he could have been. It's the last sentence. Can only be submitted to the chief of police. Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. But he lost it, etc., etc. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give the report to the chief of police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day. He needed to? Yes, to transfer the evidence out. Oh, yes, of course. Oh. Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him? There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on, let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the Chief of Police, murdered poor Goodman? Exactly. But wait, Chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort. Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet you showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body. Whoa! Oh, what was that? Chief Gant, you didn't. The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime for no one in their right mind. No one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. I'm forgetting, Mr. Wright. The victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police department the entire day, you know. And everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Here, you, take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you have all the evidence we needed to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. What? And all this time, I thought it was a useless clue just taking up space. What? How could the chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us this evidence. To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. What? What? Because the only thing I was thinking of at this point was like, was Edgeworth at the police station? Yeah. Edgeworth was, yes. I was thinking like, because I was thinking like, he's got to have just got it in his car. Just put the body in his car. Edgeworth does the rest unwittingly, not knowing what's going on. So it's just to prove that he got his body in the car. That's what we're after, isn't it? Like put it in the boot, or as you would call it over in the Americas, the trunk. It's like he puts it in there. And then like Edgeworth left, took off with it. So it's when he got his award and then left. So it's like, but the thing is, it's like, again, I know how this game is sort of giving me hints every so often. It's like, again, with like that pieces of the puzzle with the jar. It's like useless evidence. Useless evidence that was just taking up space. Use the screwdriver to unlock the car. That's all I can think of. But use that, unlock the car, put it in the boot, trunk, and then Edgeworth drove off with it later. This is how he moved Detective Goodman's body. What's that? Screwdriver? What does that have to do with the case? Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is the screwdriver doing here? It's here because... I was asked to go, by Chief Gant, no less. He told me he wanted me to keep it here, in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. I forgot that bit. After the ceremony ended that day, didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office. But you did, because Chief Gant asked you to. I mean, The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car. Oh, that's... Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car? Yes. Unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Skye. Oh, yes. Order. What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations? Think back to the photograph Miss Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It is a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Chief Gant, you say something. I believe... Your time's up. My time's up? Sorry, Righto, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're to make it in time for the early bird special. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier. A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now. What? That is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. So you're going to just run away after all of this? Run away? Don't make me laugh, Worthy. I stabbed old Goodman. That's what you're saying, right? If you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, I think I had Lana dispose of the body. If so, then show your proof and get it over with. Do I have any? I don't think I do. Just like thinking through like the evidence, like... Do I have any? I guess that could just be implicated in Edgeworth. There's nothing on the back or anything, was there? No? Okay. No. Loss of blood. Single stab. Goodman's note. We know is upside down. Muffler, no. I don't think we got anything that would definitely implicate him, and I don't think we've got anything that would definitely implicate him. Other than what we've done before. I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. We've got no proof that he murdered him. We've got proof that he was involved somehow, but not murder. Well, Mr. Wright, Your Honor, you have any concrete proof? I'm hoping someone's gonna be like, objection, hold it, you know. Proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Skye dispose of his body. Do I have any concrete proof? I can't think of anything. Let's have like anything in the evidence law. Is that it? Just that? Why is that a book with just 2 laws in it? That I can't present that though. It's like, I don't think I have I? I'm thinking this is going to be a case where it's like, I say no, and that's the right answer. It's always with this game where it's like, just you're waiting for me to do something, aren't you? It's no use showing evidence I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor. At present I have no conclusive evidence. See, OJ? In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief. What? Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, Writer. It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, G, I'll leave the rest to you. Fade out. He's a ghost, you know. I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency. Was that wrong then? Did I have evidence? What? Oh. Lady Luck. Maybe we should have a word with her. Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean? There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth. Another witness. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. But Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. Has told someone else, one more witness who can answer all the questions. Raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room. Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person? It's jury member, or witness member, like one in the crowd, number 7. Are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today. Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist? She may not be willing to tell the truth. You can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor, the defense calls forth Lana Skye.
Take that!
The defendant? Miss Lana Skye. She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 on February 21st. Her task to dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders. Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution has no objection, Your Honor. Very well. The court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in Hold on. Chief Gant, I thought you were going to eat. Isn't good, Lana? He's talking to Lana. Well, yeah. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. This isn't good. Of course, you'd never support such an outrageous claims anyway. Right. Just something to think about. Alright then. I've got a lunch date to meet. Okay. If there aren't any further objections, this court is now in recess. February 25th, 2:04 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 2. Looks like we managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks to your help, Edgeworth. That chief, he's something else, eh, pals? Detective Gumshoe! I'm not a detective anymore. Oh, really? Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Don't worry. I've already decided where to work now. At your office. My office? Sure. I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with. What do you mean? Maya? I can't remember how to say it again. Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief Gant's done it again. How is it he always gets the upper hand? It's not fair he has the right to refuse to testify. Settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said. But Chief, it is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. Yes, what risks? Risks? What did he mean by that? It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposition also holds true. You mean, he forfeits his right to say anything too? Hello? Emma, are you okay? Yeah, when I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery. So, she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before. No, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny. I almost feel somehow relieved. Relieved? Yeah, and now I finally know what really happened. I think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by the terrible man. And she did it all just to protect me. Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders, she must have shut herself up deep inside. To force herself to do anything and everything the chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold. It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall. I mean, you didn't murder him. It's accidental death. Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. Don't want to blame anyone. Blame society, pal. Okay. Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor. I see. Only gonna get back. It's time for the final act. Emma, why don't you wait here? No, I'm going with you. I want to be there when Lana tells the truth. Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this. To be continued. Now, come on. We're going now. Come on. Faster game. Save it. Okay, come on. No. February 25th, 2:21 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 9. Oh, there's number 9. There's lots of seats. Oh, now then. Will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand? Miss Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I have done these past 2 years. Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. Of course, the truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. But the only chance we have to get to Gant. Gant and the fabrication. I worked alongside Gant for years. Seems fine. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. Okay. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. Main motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. The only thing I find odd there is like, but wasn't he stabbed on the armor? Anyway, are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense, of course I'm sure. But Lana? This is true, and that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. But what if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Okay, so the only thing I can think of like there's a contradiction anywhere is that picture we saw. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth in this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. That's when the picture came up. My only motivation was to get Doc convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. All it had was the knife in the back. Mr. Wright, my sister's lying. Looks like she's determined to protect you to the end. She insists she fabricated the evidence by herself. There's no way she could have done it alone. I've got to get Lana to talk more. She's lying, and she's bound to slip up and make a contradiction. Exactly, I'm thinking it's that point there, that I expected the picture to come up again because I was going to analyze it myself, but I couldn't. So I'll go with the idea, it was that one, wasn't it, where the picture came up? So... You're saying you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? Seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body. See, that doesn't make sense. With this picture, it doesn't make sense. He should have been stabbed by the armor. What? Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. It's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. But she said she remembered now, so... Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean, Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Drake? Doc. Something like that. If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Doc was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. Or just to protect me. So when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to. Yes. I broke off the tip of Doc's knife and planted it in the wound, then moved the body. See, this all comes back to a point I was making earlier. Like with the whole, like, which side of the room was it on and stuff like that. Why move the body? What purpose does this serve you? Why would you move the body? You planted the tip of oh. Then you move the body. Yeah, I'm after that bit. Why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of the others. Yeah, this is the body bit I was after. Thank you, game, for actually giving me the choice here. When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk. The body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. Yes, indeed. The reason Miss Skye moved the body. The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Pieces of the jar, you mean? Yes, that wretched jar you showed us earlier. In order to show that Doc committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. So, when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it had been shattered to pieces. If you looked at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. But what about the fact it was written, got the word Emma is written on it? Neil Marshall was dead, and Doc was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during their struggle. I see. What's the matter, Emma? How did the jar shatter at the time the crime was committed? I have a feeling there is more to it than that. It's like, it had to be in one piece in order to write her name on it. It had to be. There must be a contradiction here somewhere. Anyway, I committed this fabrication completely alone. My only motivation was to get Doc convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. I want to go back around to the jar. Mr. Wright, my sister's lying. It's like she's determined to protect you to the end. We know this bit, Alright, back round. Right, so we want stuff to do with the jar. Piece of the jar. Right. So let's present the jar now. Because, yeah, it would have been in one piece to write the word Emma on it. Has to have been. Objection! Miss Skye, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction with your testimony. Contradiction in my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right. You have a problem with that. It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message a message was written on the jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not yet have been broken before he died. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. Oh, yes, that's a good point. Yeah, well made. Order. Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical. Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Very well, the witness may now continue her testimony. And at this point, we're actually going to end this part. In the next part, we'll see about her testimony with the jar. So, we shall see you then. Ta-ta for now.